Okay, think about this. What's that one thing really standing between you and your biggest goals? Is it maybe a lack of resources or motivation? Or could it be something else entirely, something powerful that maybe we've overlooked for decades? Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really plunging into a fascinating concept from Napoleon Hill's whole philosophy of success. It's something Mitch Horowitz, author of The Power of the Mastermind, actually calls the most neglected step.
That's right. We're talking about the mastermind group. And look, this isn't just, another networking event or some casual get-together. It's a structured, really powerful alliance. It's built on shared purpose, and it's designed to dramatically elevate your thinking and ultimately what you achieve.
So, our mission today is to unpack what a true mastermind group really is. How do you form one? How do you run it effectively? And maybe most importantly, how can it unlock what Hill famously called a third mind, this idea of collective intelligence? We'll be drawing on Horowitz's insights and some really quite remarkable real-world stories, too. Okay, so let's really unpack this idea of a mastermind. It sounds so grand, doesn't it? But at its heart, what did Napoleon Hill really mean by it?
Well, Hill defined it pretty clearly. He said it's the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. Mhm. Mitch Horowitz clarifies this really well. He describes it as an alliance could be just two people, could be up to maybe 7 members who get together regularly. And the point is to support one another's aims, their plans, their ideas. The core insight here isn't just collective effort, it's harmonized collective effort.
Hmm. So it's actually more than just like swapping ideas or getting some advice. Hill seemed to imply there's a kind of synergy happening, something, I don't know, almost alchemical.
Exactly. What's really fascinating here is Hill's concept of mental pooling. He taught that when minds come together but in harmony, their combined intellect doesn't just add up, it actually multiplies. He called this an additional force, like an inlet of what Hill called infinite intelligence, or infinite intelligence localized. It's like a new superior intelligence emerges from the group.
Wow, that sounds incredibly powerful, almost spiritual. Was Hill the only one thinking along these lines? Did anyone else tap into this idea?
Oh, definitely not. You look at the transcendentalist philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson. He talked about something very similar with this idea of the oversoul. He wrote that in like earnest debates on really profound questions. The company become aware that the thought rises to an equal level in all bosoms. They all become wiser than they were.
Yeah.
So this deep collective wisdom, that's kind of the inner key to Hill's whole idea, is that shared mental space where individual insights merge and, well, elevate everyone.
Okay, so why now? In our modern world, why is Horowitz calling this the most neglected step? What makes it so vital today?
Yeah, that's a really critical question. Horowitz points out that in our, digitally removed world, we've become not a nation of joiners. Membership in things like civic groups, fraternal groups, it's way down. A lot of us feel like success is purely an individual thing, right? That sort of go-it-alone mentality. He personally vouches for the mastermind's power. He says he owes a good deal of his own success, especially since 2013, to being in a dedicated group. It's a really potent antidote to the isolation that, let's face it, many of us feel. So the takeaway, even though we're super connected digitally, we're often less connected in these really meaningful, supportive ways.
Okay, so if we want to tap into this collective genius, it sounds like the how is just as critical as the what. How do we actually go about building one of these powerful groups and maintaining it effectively?
You're absolutely right. The indispensable factor, the absolute must-have, is group harmony. This means you've got to select members based on, well, personal affinity, shared values, genuine chemistry. It's not just about skills. Horowitz is super clear on this. He says there can be no divisiveness. Any kind of factionalism, conflict, or gossiping will deplete its energies. So this demands being pretty decisive, pretty selective about who you invite in. The big takeaway here isn't just assembling talent. It's like you're cultivating this shared mental ecosystem. It has to be healthy.
That makes perfect sense. You're building a really cohesive unit, not just a collection of individuals. But what about the logistics, the practical stuff? Do you all have to be in the same city or even the same room?
Not necessarily, no. The meetings just need to happen in real time. So face-to-face is great, but video calls work, even just a conference call. Horowitz's own group, for example, they've got members from New Hampshire clear across to Southern California, and they meet weekly, just by conference call, for about 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
The crucial thing is that live interaction, not, physical closeness.
Okay. And what about commitment? Is it okay to just sort of drop in when you feel like it or when you need something?
Oh, absolutely not. Horowitz is really firm on this. He says, basically, if you want the personal benefits, you must add logs to the fire.
Yeah.
Steady, regular attendance isn't just like a nice suggestion. It's an ethical commitment. That's what builds trust and keeps the group's energetic fire going. Sure, some members might drift away over time, but you need that core group. A quorum of 2 is really the absolute baseline to keep the dynamic alive. So the core insight is consistency builds trust, right? And trust fuels that collective mind.
Right, that makes sense. So what does a typical meeting actually look like? A productive one, I mean. Horowitz outlines a pretty specific structure, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. It's a very clear, structured process.
Right.
And it's designed to maximize the impact without wasting anyone's time.
Yeah.
First, there's a rotating leader who starts by reading a set of mastermind principles. This isn't just formality. It acts as a real commitment, almost like an oath. Think of Colonel Harry G. Summers talking about the importance of formal commitment in the military. It anchors the group. Examples might be things like, I release myself to the mastermind because I am strong when I have others to help me, or I believe the combined intelligence of the mastermind creates a wisdom far beyond my own.
Okay, so that sets the tone. What happens next?
Second, each member shares a piece of personal good news from the past week. This really fosters a sense of progress, gratitude too. Third, they state their wants and needs for the coming week. So there's specific goals, challenges where they're looking for support from the group. Fourth, and this is really crucial, after each person speaks, the other members immediately provide constructive remarks, suggestions, ideas, support. It's focused feedback right then and there.
That sounds really valuable. Immediate feedback.
It is. And finally, brevity. Keep it tight. Meetings are capped at 45 to 60 minutes, often less. Horowitz finds 35 minutes is usually enough for his 5-person group. It stops attention from drifting. The core insight here is that structure and commitment, they aren't enemies of creativity. They're actually its engine. Without that rhythm, the group just becomes, well, a chat session.
You mentioned gossip earlier, how destructive it is to harmony. Horowitz takes a really strong stance on that too, right? He connects it to this idea of a sacred fellowship.
Oh, absolutely. Confidentiality is just paramount because these discussions, they often get into deeply personal stuff, financial matters sometimes. People need to feel completely safe to express themselves freely and privately. So Horowitz introduces what he calls a no-gossip pledge. He literally calls gossip the polar opposite of creativity and productivity. And he draws on ancient wisdom here, from Euripides saying Zeus hates busybodies, to Judaism's concept of lashon hara, the evil tongue, which is considered incredibly serious, like as serious as murder. Yeah, he argues that actively rejecting gossip energizes, improves, and brings greater peace into your life. It actually makes you a nobler person. It's fundamentally about protecting the sanctity of that group space and, frankly, your own integrity. So the key takeaway, gossip just poisons the well of trust. And trust is the absolute lifeblood of a mastermind.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Hill talked about this psychic phase of the mastermind, this whole third mind concept. Can you dig into that a bit more? What did he mean, and how does it actually impact the group?
Yeah, this is profound stuff. Hill genuinely believed, quote, no two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind. He even compared it to conjoined electrical batteries. More power together than apart. So this mental pooling, especially when you combine it with strong emotion and that vital spirit of harmony we talked about, he believed it fosters heightened intuitions, unexpected insights, hunches, foresight even. It's like a genuine amplification of mental capacity, tapping into what he called infinite intelligence.
Okay, for listeners who might be, a little skeptical about a literal third mind, is this purely a mystical force? Or could it be something more like what modern psychology might call collective flow, or maybe synergistic problem solving, just described in Hill's language?
That's a great question, and honestly, I think it can be seen as both, depending on your framework. For the skeptic, look, it's about optimizing the conditions for extraordinary teamwork, for truly creative problem solving where ideas just spark off each other, where solutions emerge that, no single individual could have come up with alone. It's high-level synergy. But for those open to Hill's framework, it is about genuinely tapping into something deeper, maybe a universal wisdom. It's not just efficient brainstorming. It feels like a leap in collective intelligence.
Are there actual, tangible examples of this third mind in action? Beyond the theory.
Oh, absolutely. Horowitz shares a story about Christopher Pollock, a realtor who runs 2 mastermind groups. He talked about this experience where he raffled off a journal at a meeting. And the winner, a woman named Sharon, she immediately opened it to a page that just read, "Become an organ donor." Now, this was incredibly profound, almost synchronistic for Sharon, because she had literally just made the painful decision to take her sister, who was an organ recipient, off life support. So for Christopher, it was this powerful reminder to stay open, you know, open to intuition, to these subtle prompts that seem to emerge from that collective field.
Wow, that's quite a story. But what about people who, like me perhaps, might be natural skeptics about unseen forces? How does a mastermind still deliver value for them?
Yeah, that's fair. Even for committed skeptics, the practical results often speak for themselves. Take Mel Bergman, a musician in Horowitz' own group. He describes himself as a committed skeptic. But he used the mastermind structure and support to transition from a sales job he didn't love into designing custom electric guitars. He even developed a specialty model for wheelchair users. And he said, quote, "I literally thought my way into building guitars for a living," his advice. Just suspend disbelief and give it a shot. Because the practical outcomes, the achievement, it's undeniable. So the core insight, whether you call it synergy or psychic power or something else, the outcome tends to be elevated achievement.
And we also heard from Lou Murray, right? He highlighted the group's power to transcend really deep personal differences. That feels particularly powerful in our often divided world.
It really is. Lou, who's a financial planner and an NPR commentator, he noted that even though his group had members from radically different political spheres and different faiths, within the group, they are brothers in the mastermind. He described their meetings as spiritually nourishing. He even mentioned partners praying for one another's goals, a sentiment, as he points out, not regularly expressed in the meeting rooms of American executives.
Yeah.
It just speaks volumes about the depth of human connection that's possible when you have that shared purpose and harmony, transcending the usual labels.
So it's clearly not just about business goals or career growth. It seems to profoundly impact really personal areas of life, too.
Absolutely. And Horowitz shares his own experience as a testament to this. He says joining his mastermind group was what transformed him from just a casual reader of Napoleon Hill's ideas into someone who really committed to practicing them. And that led directly to significant career growth, including writing this very book series we're discussing. He also talks about how his partners have helped him navigate both personal and professional crises, providing a kind of support and clarity he feels he wouldn't have found anywhere else.
Okay, so let's connect this back to the listener. What does all this mean for your personal goals? Hill famously talks about having a definite chief aim. How does that critical piece connect with building and leveraging a mastermind group?
That's the fuel, really. The mastermind, as Horowitz puts it, has nothing to act upon without a clear aim. And it needs to be passionately felt, something you truly desire, but also workable, reachable, not just some vague pipe dream. There's a powerful exercise for defining this aim that comes from an older book, Roy Herbert Jarrett's It Works. He suggests a few steps. First, devise a list. Really take time, days, even weeks, to write down what you really want from life. Get down to your deepest wishes. Second, write it down and feel it. Refine that list. Write it out like a contract you're making with yourself. Carry it with you. Read it morning, noon, and night, and really try to feel the emotion of having achieved it. Mix thought with strong feelings. Third, tell no one, except your mastermind. Now, Jarrett originally advised telling absolutely no one to maintain your focus and resolve, but Horowitz brilliantly integrates this with Hill's concept. He clarifies that your mastermind group is the proper outlet for sharing this aim. They become your firewall against negativity.
Ah, so the group actually protects your dreams, protects them from external doubt or negativity. That's a really fascinating role.
Exactly that. Hill famously said, "Opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth." We all know how easily doubt can creep in. The mastermind shields you from those misdirected or ignorant remarks or opinions that could shake your confidence, especially early on. It reminds me of Peter Drucker, the management guru, who said something like, "Work only with people who believe in what you're trying to accomplish." Your mastermind provides that unwavering belief and support system. So the takeaway, your definite aim is the fuel, right? And the mastermind is both the engine and the shield.
What if my goals seem, I don't know, selfish or materialistic? Is that okay to bring to a mastermind? Or is it only for really lofty, maybe altruistic aims?
That's a really important practical question, and Horowitz addresses it head-on. He uses the movie Birdman as kind of an analogy. He argues that what truly matters is your highest sense of ethical attainment and personal excellence, whatever that looks like for you. Our desires are complex things. They're deeply intimate. If a material goal, buying a house, building a business, whatever genuinely represents something meaningful for you, something that helps you reach your potential, then it's absolutely worthy of pursuit. And the mastermind supports that pursuit without judgment. The value is defined by you, not by some external standard.
It's just incredible how these principles seem to echo through history. You mentioned it even predates some really well-known support systems we have today.
Oh, absolutely. Hill's understanding of the mastermind principle was so fundamental. Yeah, it predates the formation of Alcoholics Anonymous in 1935, which really shows its pioneering role in mutual aid concepts. But for Napoleon Hill himself, the ultimate historical example, the grandest mastermind, was the actual birth of the United States.
Wow, you mean like the Founding Fathers acting as a mastermind group? That's an incredibly powerful connection to make.
Exactly. Hill literally called the decision leading to independence the greatest decision of all time.
Right.
He lays out how the whole drive for American independence was essentially a mastermind in action. It started small, maybe with the Boston Massacre spurring John Hancock and Samuel Adams to call for action. Then Adams conceived of the Committees of Correspondence in 1772. This was basically a mutual exchange of letters across the 13 colonies to coordinate their efforts to build alignment. Hill states flatly, the mastermind had already been organized. That was the beginning of the collective power building.
So it wasn't just individual leaders acting alone, but a structured collective commitment starting to form.
Precisely. And then there's that famous story when Governor Gage tried to intimidate Samuel Adams with threats, maybe even bribe him. Adams famously replied, "I trust I have long since made my peace with the King of Kings," basically unmoved. Gage then specifically excluded Adams and Hancock from any offer of pardon. They were cornered. So these two men, described by Hill as immune to fear, blind to the possibility of failure, they called a secret meeting of their most trusted followers. They literally locked the door, apparently, and said no one leaves until a decision is made.
That's such a dramatic image, locking the door. What was that pivotal decision they reached behind those locked doors?
They decided to organize the First Continental Congress to bring representatives from all the colonies together in Philadelphia. That meeting convened on September 5th, 1774. And Hill argues that this date, September 5th, 1774, is actually more important historically than July 4th, 1776, his reasoning. If there had been no decision to hold a Continental Congress, there could have been no signing of the Declaration of Independence. It was the necessary precursor.
So the Declaration of Independence itself was effectively the outcome, the culmination of a mastermind group already in action. That's a really powerful way to frame American history.
That was Hill's argument. He said the nation was born of a decision created by a mastermind consisting of 56 men. It's a dramatic, large-scale example, but it emphasizes his core point. There are certain heights that we simply cannot scale alone. The mastermind process, that collective intelligence and commitment, helps us discern between just an impulse and real concerted action, between a pipe dream, a chimera, and a workable idea. It guides us toward truly meaningful endeavors, whether they're personal or world-changing.
This whole deep dive has really shown that the mastermind group is so much more than just a simple gathering, isn't it? It's this dynamic force for clarity, for support, and definitely for accelerated achievement. It draws on these really profound principles of human connection and collective intelligence.
It really is a testament to the power of that connection, turning individual hopes and aspirations into tangible collective triumphs. And like we saw, whether it's crafting custom guitars, navigating a tough personal crisis, or even, founding a nation, the core principles hold true. It comes down to harmony, unwavering commitment, having that definite aim, and providing persistent mutual support.
And remember, the mastermind doesn't just help you clarify your goals. It kind of surrounds you with that firewall against negativity. And it seems to amplify your own innate abilities, letting you tap into that third mind, that infinite intelligence, to achieve things that might otherwise seem completely impossible.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Maybe consider this provocative thought from Mitch Horowitz. It's a personal call to action, really. He suggests that even if you can't form a physical group right this moment, you can still join what he calls a silent mastermind. Horowitz actually invites you to join him mentally every day at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just for a moment of reflection, of holding good intentions for yourself and others. And he suggests using Napoleon Hill's powerful prayer during that time. I ask not for more blessings, but more wisdom with which to make better use of the blessings I now possess. Quote, "And give me, please, more understanding that I may occupy more space in the hearts of my fellow men by rendering more service tomorrow than I have rendered today." It's a way to tap into that spirit, even individually.
So the question for you is, what is your definite aim? And who could be your crew of expert sailors, as Hill might put it, to help you achieve it? Maybe start thinking today about the minds you could potentially align with to truly unlock your full potential. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive.